Arnie, what's going on, partner? How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Jason? Good to see you.
Good, my friend. You doing okay?
Yeah, all good.
That's awesome.
Good
How
morning,
about you guys?
Jason, Peter. Good morning, everyone.
Hey,
Hey.
Sri. Hey, Jason. Hey, Paul.
Peter. Hey, Peter.
So as always, we'll give a couple more minutes and then we can start usually by 9, 11:03, we can start. That's fine.
You're gonna make sure the trains run on time, Sri? Is that your job?
Partly that, partly looking at chat, but yeah.
Yeah, every time I see Arnie, I have hair envy, right? Because I don't have any and haven't had any since I was 25. So, yeah, I just kind of got to get over it.
Hey, Jason, you can go buy it.
Yeah, I guess I could. I guess I
I mean,
could.
you got that. You got the sweet goatee, though. You know.
Hey, that's what I can do, man. That's
You got good, but Jason, you got a good bald man's head. That's the thing. You got to have the right head for it. If you don't have the right head,
it's not cratered.
head.
It's not cratered. Enormous.
There's no craters. There's no dents. There's no big slash marks. No obvious gang influence.
No gang tattoo. Yeah, none of that. Right. Yeah. It is ginormous, though. Not much I can do.
Hey, wait. Let me say, not that there's anything wrong with any of that, folks. Okay. Be very inclusive here. You got to be very inclusive here. If you're in a gang, I'm not saying that's wrong. Well, wait a minute. Yes, I am. I'm saying that's wrong. Anyway.
Yeah, has to do with intelligence.
Yeah, man. Wally and I go back a long, long time, and Wally's always been the good-looking guy with perfect hair, and I just, I have a hidden resentment, but I can't really say anything about that. So,
shit, it's deep in here, Arnie.
Yeah.
Well, we got Tom Brady here running loose in the Tampa Bay area now, so there's a lot of there's a lot of hair envy going on around here.
Yeah, I can imagine. Greg Skasny, right? He runs Blue Shift. He lives right down there where you live at.
Does he?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, a hurricane just decimated his house, man.
Oh, that's bad. Yeah. So got 1,100 people a day moving to Florida.
I live in
very popular state. You're in Texas. Where are you? You guys in Texas? Where are you guys?
Austin.
Austin, yeah.
125 families a day from California.
Oh wow.
That's right, man. Something for DeSantis to deal with.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like we'll see who our next president is. That's going to be interesting. I think it might be DeSantis, so we'll see.
He's a tough card to beat, man. He's polished. He's a jag, ex-military, Ivy League educated, speaks to the people well. He's a tough one, brother.
He'd be a tough one to beat. I like him because, and I don't want to get into too much politics, but I've always liked John Kennedy. But he would be the Republican version of Kennedy, with kids crawling around underneath his desk at the Oval Office, right? He's got these 3 little kids. So he would be kind of that good looking, he'd be a good refreshing change for the United States for 4 years at least, it'd be nice.
The original John Kennedy. You're not talking about the Kennedy from Louisiana.
No, I'm talking about John F. Kennedy. John. The president, our former president. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so we are 4 past, so we can get started. Shiva has already started sharing his screen. So Shiva, over to you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. And thanks. We have some special guests on the call today. Welcome, Arnie. Welcome, Jason. And I would also like to introduce Peter, who has basically come on as one of our partners in this company. So what I would like to do today is basically kind of focus on some of the announcements that have happened yesterday. There have been some interesting conversations, etc. I will just basically kind of set the stage where I will talk about what was done, how is it going to be done, etc. And as always, basically, I expect that from the community, from this community, you will let us know what are any apprehensions you may have, what are the things we should do, what we shouldn't be doing, and basically let's take this forward just as we've done with the product all this time, right? So with that said, just wanted to very quickly go over this whole thing. We have a new investment in the company, primarily to enable growth and expand the vision based on the need of the community. The primary things that we're going to be using the new funding is to basically increase our presence in the US to make sure that key functions are readily accessible. And this includes support, documentation, and marketing assistance. The R&D will still be run basically out of India because that's basically a good cost model. And we have basically extremely good talent that's available that's already been working with the product for the last 3 years. So we expect to continue over there. And eventually we basically, with the help of Arnie, we are basically going to have a tie-up with the University of South Florida, where we will be able to get talent over there, which essentially we can eventually basically amalgamate into this whole piece. That's essentially kind of the plan that we are basically putting forward. We're going to basically increase the size, the development and the QA team to ensure better quality in terms of patches, etc. I know that we do a fairly reasonable job in terms of the quality at this point of time, and at least we try to, but it can always be better. It can always be basically kind of slick much more, and that is where we essentially want to put our focus on. We have a new team that's basically focusing on two primary things, which is one is basically getting everything in the ecosystem integrated. And second, when I talk about whitelisting, I'm talking about like every time you install it in an environment, and then you have to go and do the whitelisting with the EDRs, MDRs, and basically the antivirus and the defenders. So essentially working with these different companies to essentially make sure that these are all pre-whitelisted so that you have a smooth experience is essentially what this new team is going to be focusing on. Next, focus heavily on meeting all the security standards. So we have SOC 2 GDPR pretty much done. What we're planning next year is to basically get full-fledged into CMMC. And what's driving these things is essentially the requirements that you are being asked for. Basically, if you as an MSP are supposed to be compliant with certain things, then you expect us being one of the vendors to basically be compliant with all this. So we essentially want to stay ahead of the curve and get compliant with all this so that you don't have any questions that you have to basically kind of take exceptions for this particular tool. Last but not the least, we've started this last year, this year, which is provide knowledge-driven sessions so that partners can make better decisions. And that's essentially something that we want to do as something that we give back to the community rather than just basically, it's not really a part of the core business model, but it is more about like, let's basically demystify this entire security because there's a lot of complexity that's brought into it, and how can we simplify it and make sure that everybody understands what are the 3 things to do or the 10 things to do that can keep you secure. So that's essentially the goal of those sessions. One of the key additions basically from this investment is essentially Peter Bellini, who basically comes from the Bellini family. Basically, he is the son of Arnie Bellini, who's also on this call. I will basically hand over the stage to both of them so that they can talk a little later, but I'll just walk through some of the things that we're doing. So Peter Bellini will basically take over and start running, help us run the US operations, provide basically a solid US presence so that all of you can essentially reach out to him at times that are convenient to you. And basically we'll have employees and others in the US whom you can reach out to. And basically we'll also be setting up support based in the US, right? So once we basically made these announcements yesterday, there were basically, I just pulled and basically pulled out a set of few questions that people had, okay? And I'm being very direct with this. So I just don't want to dress it up. I'm just being direct. So but I think the biggest concern was, is this something that's being dressed up to be sold to ConnectWise? Because of two things which basically I think primarily drives this thought process. One is the name, ConnectSecure, sounds similar to ConnectWise, so is it being dressed for that? And the second, basically, the legacy of Arnie and Peter being with ConnectWise, is it basically just being brought in there? So the answer is no. This company was set up with the specific goal of getting MSPs a viable solution, which is basically both very good in quality as well as basically affordable in price. Now, we basically had an initial set of shareholders. And one of the things that we've done as part of this round of investment is, because when you have shareholders have different interests. Some of them wanted essentially us to basically sell to others so that they can essentially exit and get a exit at some point of time. So we had a lot of offers during this period. We actually went through a whole bunch of offers and refused those offers, and finally chose Peter Bellini as the person who would essentially be investing into this company, primarily because of this reason, that we essentially wanted to make sure that we are an independent company. So all of the other shareholders who are looking for essentially a way to get compensated have been compensated. We are in the process of, Shiva and Srikanth and me are in the process of completing the partner stock warrant payments to all the contributors in the last round, so that everybody has basically kind of, for the contributions that are made till date, with this investor, we can essentially close out that round. And then we'll be convening a meeting early next week to talk about the logistics as to how the payments will reach you. And our commitment basically, which I'm echoing the commitment based on our discussions with Peter and the three partners that we've discussed, is that we're not going to sell to anyone without consulting with all of you as partners. Plus, for the next 5 years, we have no plans to sell to anyone. Now, ideally, we could basically say that I will never sell, right? And that basically would not be a statement that anybody would basically believe. But what we can commit to and basically kind of put it on writing is that for the next 5 years, we're not going to be selling off, right? And if we get some offer which basically seems to be very viable to partners, we'll come back to you and basically discuss with you to see if it's something that you guys would like us to do. And in that case, we will essentially kind of do it at that particular point of time. So that's essentially what the answer to this question is. And I will basically ask Peter and Arnie to elaborate later in case there are any further questions on this. Second, what's in the name, the ConnectSecure name? Now, my request is that the whole vision behind ConnectSecure is a little different. It basically is a little bit more broad-based than just being a vulnerability management tool. So that will essentially kind of expose itself over the next couple of quarters. So my request is just help us with basically just waiting to see how it unravels itself. And then we will continue till we will basically be using the CyberCNS name for the foreseeable next couple of quarters, so that in case anybody is using it in their marketing collateral, etc., it continues to basically kind of be relevant. We'll just make it CyberCNS by ConnectSecure below the logo. And again, we just reiterating that this is not a means to dress it up for other companies to buy out. So I hope this makes this clear. Third, we are basically in the midst of a support transition, and a lot of you would have noticed this support transition. So we are starting with an initial support team that's being run by Jason Whitehurst, who's on this call. And Jason Whitehurst himself is basically a fairly expert user in terms of using it as an MSSP on 80 MSPs over here. So he's well positioned to basically kind of have a team under him, which essentially runs the support. And that's the initial support team that we are basically putting out there. But we will also be supplementing it with other in-house support folks as we basically continue towards the end of next year. What we like about Jason in this entire thing is that if there is something that sucks in the product, he's very direct in letting us know that it sucks, and we are able to go in and basically fix it up. So we are hoping that we can get at least the voice of a section of partners in this. And we, of course, basically listen to all of you in terms of your feedback and basically getting things working out for all of you, right? So Jason, would you like to kind of chime in and basically say a couple of words at this time?
Yeah, so, you know, when I originally was speaking with Sri about handling support, because having been in this business for 20, for 2 decades and running and being in the security space for the last decade, we know how to do support. I know how to do support. And it was clear to us that CyberCNS were incredible, and I mean incredible developers, and had this constituency of partners that they listened to. And as a security guy, I'm like, I think it's a little too open, honestly. But listening to those partners and having sprints directly impacted by that. So I went back to CyberCNS and said, look, we'll do the support for you until such time that you're ready to own it. And we'll give it back to you, no contract issues, none of that. When you're ready, take it back, and we'll all move on smartly, because I wanted CyberCNS to spend all their time on what they're experts at and let us deal with the blocking and tackling of support. CyberCNS is in my mind, very quickly, is a watershed product in the channel, in the sense that it's looked to provide a single source of risk analysis, risk validation, and detection. And as they start to add other modules to the platform, they all come back and point toward the MSP having better knowledge about security risks and vulnerabilities, better knowledge about what to do about them, and a platform that helps significantly, right? You understand, I have 180 MSP clients, and they all use CyberCNS, every one of them to the last one, and their security sales show it, and across the board as a percentage. And so I wanted to do support so that these guys could focus on what they do best and doing the blocking and tackling. So we'll continue to do that until such time that we're no longer needed in that capacity, and doing some security work with CyberCNS. Never worked with a team that's more open, and that's what I like. And in the conversations I've had with the leadership there about what's coming down the pipe, is just something I want to be a part of, because it's going to be more watershed moments for the channel, as a product that's going to lead toward helping MSPs stem the tide of these vulnerability risks. And so I want to be a part of that in any way that I can. So we'll do support, and we'll do anything we can to help you out. You can reach me directly in any number of fields if you're not getting the support you need or the help you need. My team's always open. So I'll give it back to you guys and just say thanks for letting me be a part of it. It's been super exciting. Thanks, Shiva.
Thanks, Jason. Thank you for being part of this. So the next thing is that there was a question on why the turtle logo. So at this point of time, basically, I would invite Peter, because I think it's something that basically he kind of envisioned for the new company. So I think he's best suited to talk about the turtle logo as well as the name ConnectSecure. So Peter.
Sure. Thank you, Shiva. Thank you, Jason. So the turtle logo is, people typically, you think of a turtle, you think of a shell. So it's sort of, hardening, if you will. It's got protection. It's got multiple forms of defense. Plus, turtles are somewhat endearing. People find them cute. You gotta, at least, this was a lesson my mom taught me way back in the day. You gotta have some kind of bug, who's your Michelin man essentially for your company. And the turtle sort of made sense, A, because of the shell. It's got defensive measures, if you will. B, because you can find sea turtles both in Florida and in India. And they're both very important to the ecosystem there. They help clean up the coral reefs so that the other fish can have a more healthy lifestyle in the coral reef. And, that's kind of what we're going to do here, is we're going to, help protect the coral reef, if you will. The coral reef would be the MSP channel. And plus, like people like turtles. So, that's kind of the idea behind the turtle logo and the ConnectSecure name. Actually, I'd like to, if Arnie, if you'd like to sort of speak a little bit on that, because you're a little bit more in tune with the name and how that came about. And I think that'll demystify some things and clear up some questions folks have there.
Yeah, sure. So I love the comment I saw out somewhere on social media where it said, if you can't see this, then, even Helen Keller can see this is packaged up to sell to ConnectWise. I thought that was so clever and funny. But first of all, no, absolutely not. Yes, ConnectWise is the company that I founded and started. And what's interesting about ConnectWise is that it was not always called ConnectWise. And so that's kind of a little story here. We were called Microcomputer Information Solutions. That was a mouthful. So we shortened it to MIS, and that was an acronym. And I just do not like acronyms. And so about 20 years ago, we had a competition to come up with a new name. We needed a new name, and we went and we said, you have to have a domain name, you have to register the .com, and we gave out $200 prize for whoever came up with the name that we would change the company to. And we came up with a whole lot of really cool domain names, and one of them was ConnectWise. Another one was ConnectSecure, Connect On, Connect Back. We just hit a pay streak with a whole bunch of different varieties. We must have registered 20 different domain names at that time. And so we've always kept those. In fact, when I sold ConnectWise to Tomo Bravo, that was one of the things I specifically carved out. I said, no, ConnectSecure, they wanted the domain name. I said, no, this is being carved out specifically because I want to be involved and mentor and or start a cybersecurity company in the future that will do the same thing that we did at ConnectWise, which was to see that there was just all these silos of chaos of different point solutions that didn't talk to each other, that cost way too much money. And Peter and I went to the Right of Boom conference. I think a lot of you all went to that. Andrew puts on a great conference, and it was my first time back in 3 years. I mean, I sort of have taken a 3-year hiatus, but Peter had just graduated from the MBA program. Peter had worked for me at ConnectWise for 8 years. I put him through all the different departments in the company, specifically because I thought, hey, maybe he'll take over as CEO. Well, that wasn't to be, because I had partners and I had too many other partners involved. It wasn't like I could bring my son and make him the CEO of that company. So we've always sort of had this carve out thought of the next Bellini venture would be led by Peter and would come to the rescue again, like we did, where we rooted out the silos of chaos back in the business management world and remote monitoring and management, and helped usher in the managed service world. Well, we really feel like now the Bellini family's involvement, along with Shri and Shiva, who are wonderful, and we've worked with them for years, we really feel like this is another opportunity to come to the rescue, to connect the solutions together, to get rid of the silos of chaos in cybersecurity. Another thing I did, not many people know it, but I also went and practiced predatory pricing to bring the pricing down in the industry, in the MSP industry. We're going to plan on doing that again this time. The prices are too high. So someone has to be 100% in tune with the mission of empowering MSPs to get the job done with what represents 50 to 60% of the world's economy, right? I mean, small to mid-sized business, that's who we all take care of. And I was just so depressed when I came back after 3 years and assessed the situation, said, it's not any better than it was when I left. In fact, it's worse, because now we just have a whole bunch of point solutions. They don't talk to each other and they cost way too much. This is terrible. And I don't see MSPs moving forward fast enough to take care of this problem. And so I'm real proud to be involved in this as a mentor to my son. The only investment in this, there's 3 people that have ownership in this company right now. And I think that should be comforting for everyone to know. And it's Peter, who was one of the 70 millionaires made when ConnectWise was sold. He's taking his money, he's putting his money in. Bellini Capital is here with a whole bunch of money to back this company up for any expansion that it would ever need, okay? But the whole idea here is to stay true to the mission. And the mission is, how do we get managed service providers to the place they need to be to, where they're literally doubling their revenue, because you can if you do cybersecurity the right way, double your revenue, get rid of your liability, have a suite of solutions that are affordable and connect together and get the job done. And to give you ultimately the cybersecurity operating panel, operating system, if you will, bring it to you. We've got to bring it to you. You're going out and chasing it with point solutions. Someone's got to bring it to you. And that's what ConnectSecure is going to do. So I'm really excited to be involved with it again. I'm really excited because it's, you know, the people that I love the most who are doing it, quite honestly. So our families became quite bonded with Shiva's family and Shree's family because we did so much work together at ConnectWise. And Lauren and I and Peter would all go visit with them in India, and we became very close. So we're very excited to have this opportunity to do it again. And the idea is to never sell it. I mean, now no one can say they'll never sell it, but I've told these guys, I go, you know, y'all need to come to the rescue because everyone else is selling out to private equity. I mean, yes, including me. I sold out to private equity eventually because I couldn't ascend a son to the throne, if you will. There was no possibility of doing that. We had to cash that out. But this is a bigger problem than the problems that companies like ConnectWise and Kaseya solve today. And no one is really solving it the right way. And so it's going to require innovation, a small team, a community approach. And if you guys know the fable of Stone Soup, that's really the game that we're playing. We're saying everybody's got to contribute and we've got to make this thing work and we've got to make it affordable. So I think it's an exciting mission. And I would just say that the biggest point that I've made to them is you've got to make it a community effort. You've got to get your partners behind you. So you have to be as transparent as possible with your intentions and your mission. And I think that's what this meeting is about. How can we really just put it right there on the line, tell you exactly what this company is about and where it's headed. And I'm excited for the future. And I think that anybody that hitches their star to this company is going to see amazing things in their organization. So I'll leave it at that.
Hey, Arnie, this is Jason. I'll tell you what helped really kind of help me understand where you guys are headed was if you could speak a little bit to the time Peter spent in India with CyberCNS long before this was announced. How much time he spent. I did not know that.
Yeah. So, you know, I treat my children as they have to be fearless. And so I put Peter in charge of project management of a development effort, which led him to a 9-month stint in India, working directly with Shiva and Shree in Bengaluru. And so he's spent plenty of time over there. He's probably spent a year over in India already. And that's how he got to know it, because I had rotated him through support, marketing, every department inside of ConnectWise, because that's how you really train your next leaders, right? And Peter's always been super capable. So I thought, wow, I mean, it'd be really cool to have the next version of the Bellini family. First of all, we're Italian, right? We don't work in leather or music. We work in software, right? That's what our family works in. And so this is just our family trade. You're always going to see the Bellini family doing something in software. But in no way, shape, or form would it make sense, just to be clear, to sell anything to anyone with regard to this. But so anyway, to finish Peter's story, it's like he spent 9 months over there. He got to know everyone. The locals all got to know Peter. And our families became very close as a result of that.
Yeah, it's going to India was certainly one of the better experiences of my lifetime. It was, you know, I actually got to meet Shiv and Shrikant and learn a lot about my development knowledge there. If you know me, I'm kind of an avid bass fisherman. So my first real experience there was doing somewhat of a summer project to build out a bass fishing application, which, you know, it would go out, gather weather information, gather the lunar phases and cycles based on your latitude and longitude. And then I built a couple of if-then statements behind that to sort of display, hey, you know, here's the best time of day, here's the best time of month, here's the best type of lure based on these conditions to go bass fishing. So from that, I actually learned a lot of, you know, the process of what goes into developing and how to actually build a application. It was very simple, but at least it informed me of the process. And, you know, that was sort of the beginning of our relationship. And I'd spend many months at a time there as I, transitioned from college to working at ConnectWise. And, we helped bring a lot of interesting products to the market that really fleshed out the portfolio. So we're here now with this new phase, this new company, ConnectSecure, and we're going to be integrating equally with both ConnectWise and Kaseya, as well as other independent solutions like Synchro. So we're not going to be playing any favorites here. And I'm excited to be back with the team, Shiv and Sri. They've done so much for me, and I want to help them out as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Peter. So moving on to the next thing. So
any questions? So I just because there's been so many comments and controversy, we wanted to get on here. Maybe this is long-winded sharing of too much, but we figured transparency is the best antidote for rumors and conspiracy theories. So I want to just ask if there's any questions. We're happy to answer any questions. No questions? Got to be at least one question.
Yeah, feel free to unmute or pop it into chat or however you feel most comfortable. How soon is the price going up? We have no plans to change the price of the product. As Shiva said earlier, ConnectSecure is not going to just be a vulnerability management solution. So we're going to be adding on additional products, and so we have no plans to change the price for what was CyberCNS, which is going to be rebranded eventually to ConnectSecure Vulnerability Management.
Other questions? Any other questions?
yes, this recording we'll basically post it as soon as this call is over.
Okay, good deal.
Hi, this is Dennis. It's not a question, it's a comment. I just want to say thank you to Shiva. I mean, I've been part of this project since pretty early in the days, and it has been like nothing that I've been in this business for a long time, and I've never seen anything like this in terms of the engagement of the partners from the very first day. And I hope that it continues that way, and I'm really pleased and proud and looking forward to being part of it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there, Dennis. That was kind of one of the things we really thought that set this company apart, is that, Shiv and Sri, they like to say, we don't have product managers. Our product managers are our users, which, these weekly Wednesday calls are sort of what defines our product roadmap. And really, that's the best way to move forward. And we want to continue that. We're going to, I know the Wednesday calls haven't been on the same cadence the last few months. We've been a little bit busy going through the rebranding and then relocating the company from Canada to the US. But, we're going to start to bring these calls back on a regular cadence. We're going to be getting out emails to, get you guys informed, like, maybe a day in advance, put out calendar invites so you can block off your calendar. This is something that I think is absolutely mission critical to what ConnectSecure is all about and what CyberCNS was all about. So this is one of the foundational pillars of the company, and it'll remain to be so.
I think the last thing I'll add is a lot of my clients are on here right now. I was looking at the list. I was a little concerned early on at, when some of the partner relationships were announced. And I spent an hour on the phone with Arnie. And Arnie explained his vision and his idea and, what the overall plan was. And my clients know that I don't hold anything back. And once I got off that phone call, I was both feet in, ready to pick up and take over support or do anything I could to allow those guys to develop and iterate at the pace that they can. And so, those of you that don't know me, this might not mean anything, but a lot of my clients are here right now, and that really made a difference, And so you constantly see me on Tech Tribe or other places saying, when it's brought up, they're not going to sell to private equity. Stop worrying about it. Now you see why I felt confident in saying that over the last couple of weeks. We've all struggled when with some of these sales and kind of how they've been completed and the net effect of loss of expertise and loss of long-term resources and price adjustments and everything that happens. And a lot of us have struggled with the net impact of those. And I think what CyberCNS is doing, particularly with Peter and Arnie involved, is to give people an alternative and to give people a product that they know that there's not going to be some huge disruption. That was the first question I asked. And there just isn't going to be that. So I just wanted to add my kind of final piece to that, since there's so many of my clients here. And yeah, and Arnie, I appreciate that conversation, because it took care of all the concerns that I had. So with that being said, I think I'll stop it there. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, well, I'll just add one quick thing to that, and that is, this is a hero's journey. It's like, what a great opportunity we all have to work together to solve this problem. This is not a hard problem to solve, really isn't. It's like, especially with the development team that we've harnessed here, this amazing development team that these folks have in India. It's like, this is just about connecting everything together. And then what's nice about it is, just like at ConnectWise in the early days, we would always use our partners, you guys and girls, to influence others. In other words, to get us other integrations to all the tools that we needed to integrate to help us to start to bring prices down across the industry, right? There's no reason that the prices should be so high. And so there's a lot of effects that we can have when we band together as a community and just really approach this as solving the problem as a community, the way that it's always been solved to date with Shiva and Sri. And Andrew. So we just want to see that continue. And I think the real security that you have is knowing that, yeah, it takes money to do that. Well, the good news is we already cashed out ConnectWise. So now we've got the money to be able to put into something like this and to do it and to see it all the way through. So I'm excited about that. And I think that anyone that's involved in this should get pretty excited about it too. So I'll shut up. I'm just very excited.
Thank you, Arnie. Thanks, Jason.
Yep.
And I want to just put out a very interesting metric, right? So we actually were compiling a factor called the contribution factor, based on which basically we did a lot of the work in terms of the stock options that partners got. And Dennis, just wanted to say a big thanks to you, because 23% of all the features that got developed basically was because of your contribution. And closely next was basically Tim Fortinet with basically 21%. So between the two of you, basically you gave us almost 50% of the feature sets in the products that basically made it what it is today. So I have to be very grateful to both of you for all the contributions. The next one was that we basically are, right now, December usually is the holiday season. We have a couple of things. I'm just being very transparent in terms of what are the things that we are doing. The next couple of weeks, we will be documenting and transitioning employees and performing all of those activities. We basically have completed the payments to larger minority investors. And so and that's what I explained before. We have payments to partners with all the phantom stocks to be completed within 2 weeks. So this essentially is right now in progress. And we will basically communicate with you early next week on how this transition will take place. And then we basically will be completing the payments to employees in early January after they transition into the new structure. So this essentially is kind of the roadmap that we are on right now. So what we're going to be doing is that the current invite, we will essentially cancel the recurring invite for this year. And what we will do is we'll basically set up a new ConnectSecure invite and send it to all of you. Please accept it and join the calendar. And as I said, your contribution is the most important piece of why this company exists. So kindly request you to kind of attend these meetings and give us feedback. That is basically the single most valuable thing that we essentially kind of look forward to on a week-to-week basis. And next year, basically, since we'll have more staff and more people, we will basically change it up, make it more exciting for you to attend the calls. In addition to that, we'll also basically we'll have the ability to basically kind of put more content out there. And we are working on a heavy, massive technical update for the first week of January. So I will be presenting that technical update in the first week of January. So for all of you, basically wish you a very, very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. And now, the floor is open. Any questions, any concerns, please basically speak up or put it on chat. We're happy to answer all those questions.
Shiva, there's been a lot of questions about the new compliance module and when that might be released. Could you give us an update on that, please? Thanks.
That will essentially be along with the Jan 1st update. We are basically putting out the new compliance module. It has basically a lot more structure in the way that the reports are done. Plus, it essentially also has the ability to bring in the offline components of the compliance. So that's basically something that we are putting together. And second is that there was a question about PCI compliance. We will be basically getting PCI compliant basically in the first quarter of next year.
New reporting module.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we basically created an enhanced version of the report builder. So that will be a part of this next release. And Chris, yes, the new January update will be the new refreshed portal with the new it'll be a new color scheme and branding based on the new ConnectSecure branding. Just that the new color scheme is far superior. It's more polished and it looks more professional. So we actually can basically kind of compete with people like Qualys and Tenable, etc. Mark, the list of new integrations, basically, we are planning 30 integrations in the first quarter of next year. And basically, top on the list is basically all the EDRs, MDRs, the most popular EDRs, MDRs, all of the backup tools, and also we already have the integrations with the firewalls. So there are basically the cloud-based integrations. So actually, Jason Whitehurst has been giving us some input on the whole Office suite security, which basically we are putting together. So those integrations will also be part of it. And apart from that, Orvik and Domode's integration. These are the integrations that we are planning.
Hey, don't forget, there's a completed Nucleus integration.
Yes. Yes. Mark, what is the meaning of legacy access?
Hey, sorry about that. When we were doing the portal update for the rebranding, the method in which our clients are getting logged in is not going to change, at least in the short term. Is that correct?
That's correct. So what we'll be doing is that we'll keep the current portal. And when you essentially say that I want to migrate to the new portal, it will migrate to the new portal. So you can choose when to transition.
Okay, thank you.
So if there are no more questions, then I want to thank everyone for basically being here. And just want to, Srikanth, Peter or Arnie, any last words, any things that before we sign off on this?
No, just thank you for everyone showing up, and we look forward to a very long and fruitful journey with you to solve this crazy issue of the silos of chaos of cybersecurity.
I think we've assembled, a great team here. Like you've seen in sort of the industry and a lot of the paranoia, I guess, around the rebranding is, private equity comes in, a lot of the key players leave. Shiva and Shrikant, Vrishali, Swami, Shandu, all of these folks have built a wonderful product. They've built a wonderful community. Andrew as well, he's still kind of helping advise us. This team is here to stay, and we're excited about what we're going to do in the future. And I know, Shri, you haven't had anything to say today. If you'd like to chime in anything there.
Yes, I'd just like to, like I said, formally welcome you to be part of this, really excited to be having you on this journey. And, looking forward to having everyone's participation in making CyberCNS the cybersecurity platform for MSPs. So thank you very much for all your help so far. And we're looking forward to more over the coming years.
I'm also going to say this, we're hiring in Tampa. And so we're looking for support folks and sales engineers. So if you guys or girls know of anyone.
Technical writers.
And technical writers.
Yeah.
So, send good people our way.
Perfect. So thank you, everyone, and have a great holiday season. And I think this is probably the first Christmas and New Year that we can basically declare ourselves to be completely COVID-free. So I hope you all have a great blast this year.
Take care, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.